So what a treat to have my baby sister on my podcast. I've never interviewed a family member on my podcast. And I had so many questions when I was preparing for this that I knew we'd have to spend maybe 7 or 8 hours and have a whole series. So I gave that idea up and came down to maybe 12 questions. But in each of them, I thought perspective makes such a difference in life. So I was the second oldest in our family. You were the second youngest. So I had one above me, you had one below you. And we had how many years between us, would you say, in age?
13. Yeah, 13 years between us.
13 years between your age and my age. So when I was getting out of the house, flying the coop, making the life that I wanted to live, or at least trying to live, you were just a little kid. It was almost like you were a separate family. I'm curious what your memory of how you talk about your childhood. I have a feeling it's almost like a different family than what I grew up with, the top 5 versus the bottom 5. What's your memory of growing up in that family of 10 kids?
Oh my goodness. And I agree with you. I think it's definitely felt like 2 families. I talked to a few siblings since we spoke, and they actually feel like there's 3 families, but I always thought it was 2. It was the older folks, the older siblings, and then us younger ones.
Yes.
And so my memories growing up is dad singing Florence and I, who's the youngest, to sleep every night with a guitar. The thing I hated most about that was summertime when it was still light out. I guess we must have gone to bed at like 7:30 at night, and I could hear all the kids playing, and I felt, I felt left out.
Outside the window, you heard the kids playing on the street.
Oh yeah, absolutely. At age 6 or 7, waking up on Easter morning. I don't know if you were around then, and mom would she bought 10 baby chicks on Easter morning.
There. Yeah.
You were there.
10 baby chicks in the bathtub. The only bathtub we had to actually bathe in.
Yes.
That was like a miracle. It was like a miracle.
That's exactly what I said. It was just like a miraculous thing that I always remembered. And then mom brought us back down River Road to the junkyard when they were grown. I don't remember her giving them away, but of course she did. And then going to visit them and them all coming out and her making a big deal about it. So that was kind of neat.
Really? I didn't get to see the second part. I thought she butchered them or something. I just made up my own end to that story, but she gave them to the junkyard and you went and visited them like they were lost relatives.
Yep, she made a big deal out of it. And I just remember standing there and all these chickens and roosters are all, and, and she was like, there they are. Now, what they are is, I don't know. I assume they were. I mean, I don't think mom would make that up, but.
Sure she would. The mother I was raised with would certainly make anything up just to make us happy.
I don't know. And then I remember at age 10, this was pretty good. Mom throwing a surprise party for me and invited my whole class. It was between 25 and 30 kids from Holy Rosary, and they were all invited to my surprise party. And T made those cardboard, remember those cardboard crowns that they cut out? Were you around for that? It was like on a, and then,
I remember the crowns, but I wasn't at your party. And that was at the house, our little house.
Oh yeah.
Where did they fit 30 kids?
Oh, they were just all over in the living room, and it was a big deal, and it was a surprise party. And I thought that was kind of nice. Wow. Those great memories. So those are, and then of course, Dairy Queen, always going to Dairy Queen and mom having the brain freeze when she would take a sip of our Mr. Misty. Yeah.
I remember dad more about the Dairy Queen because he used to sit us on the front steps in the summer and ask us, would we rather have a hot fudge sundae, a chocolate blizzard, or vanilla maybe? Or strawberry dunk or something like that. And we'd all listen to the menu and we'd all shout, I would. And then he'd say, so would I. And that was the end.
Well, maybe they couldn't afford it back then.
Yeah, no, we couldn't afford it back then, but we probably had seven or 8 of the kids by then, but we rarely went. But when we did go, he'd just say instead that ending, let's go. And we couldn't believe our ears. We were going to get the ice cream. Dad was so playful. And that's what I learned from dad more than anything else, how to be playful. And it's interesting because mom really produced a lot of the play situations like the chickens. And she gets no credit for it. I don't think of mom at all as playful. I think of her as a worker and a great role model and an inspirer. But I look to dad in my memory as the guy who taught us that fun came first. But I know you've said over the years that you got a lot more from dad than I ever did. That's all, that was the end of dad. He always had 2 jobs. He wasn't around much when I was a kid. But But what's your memory of dad, and why do you say he was more influential than mom? I cannot believe anybody be more influential than my mother, than our mother, I should say.
Well, maybe
Same record my own.
subconsciously mom was, and I think she was definitely influenced me as a mom. I thought she was a great mom,
She was
but
phenomenal.
dad, I mean, dad was very business, coming home in his suit, coming home in his suit when he come home from work. And I just remember him sitting and telling stories about the whole, how horrible, he would tell stories, I felt like every night, about,
About the workday.
yeah, about the workday. And they were horrible stories. And dad was always right. I remember him always being right. And I was like, yeah, that's right, dad. You're
Yeah.
right. Whatever story he told, he was always right. And yeah, so I think, and dad always, I don't know, I must have gone to him for advice, because I just remember him, even when I started working, coming to him for advice, and he'd always tell me what to do. And I listened to him faithfully, and I go do whatever he said.
Still assuming that he was always right.
I assumed he was always right. I thought he was, yeah, I guess I must have adored him. I don't know.
Oh, I think we all adored him. He was our boyfriend of sorts, wasn't he? Because he
Yeah.
was charming
Yeah.
and he paid attention to us. And also he was
Oh,
smart
yeah.
enough to sell us. I distinctly remember him having me on his lap, as does our sister Ellen, as does my sister Denise, older than me, and telling us that we were his favorite one by one. And I fell for it. We all did. Remember, we were at a sister's reunion and we all realized we were comparing notes for the first time and realized that dad told us each that we were his favorite, and we got
That's
together,
right.
outed him kind of. Yeah. It's
Well,
great.
I'm gonna claim his favorite, because I was his favorite, going out of the world. I just want to
You know
say
what? You're absolutely right. He actually
Yeah.
told me you were his favorite, but I was mom's, and I'll take mom any day of the week against dad.
that's true. That's true.
Okay, so we each had our own. Janine, I remember one thing that I was present for, and I should have already been out of the house, but I remember the conversation when you came home. You'd gone to secretarial school after college, became a secretary for a bus company in New York, I think, Greyhound Bus.
Yep, Greyhound.
Yeah.
Greyhound leasing. Mhm.
And then you came home one day and announced you had gotten a raise, and you told dad very proudly you had gotten a raise. And why don't you share what advice he gave you? Because it really made a heck of a difference in my perception of my own father.
Interesting.
You
So
don't remember that. I remember.
oh, I
you-
remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I was so, and listen, I was a great worker, great employee, I should say. And I worked for the vice president of this Greyhound leasing, and I got my raise, whatever I can't even remember what percentage it was, but
I
it
think
wasn't a lot. But I
5%.
was,
I think it was
yeah, and I was very proud. And
so
we
proud.
had there were about 6 girls in our office, and we all got called in one by one. We all got the same raise. I went home to tell dad how excited I was I got the raise. And dad said, "That's not a raise. That's barely the cost of living. Now, do you show up on time? Do you do this?" And he made me go through the whole list of everything I did. I'm like, yes. And he goes, "Well, you march back in there and you tell him what you're worth, and you ask for, whatever, 2% more of the raise and stuff like that." And I was like, okay.
You
And I
look
went the next day. And I went to the
What else?
vice.
You know
Yeah, I
what
went
other
to the
question?
president. Go ahead.
But before you tell the end, I want to remind you, there was one other question dad asked, which impressed me the most. He said, are you a better worker than the other girls?
Yes.
And you
yes.
said, yes.
Yes.
And
He
you
had
know,
me, yeah.
you
And he
continue.
had me believe. And not only, I didn't go to my boss, who was a VP. I had to go to the president, who I wasn't working under, working under, of course, he was the president. And I went in there and I marched right in, and he was a stern man. And I went in and with confidence, and I was young. What was I, 19,
Yeah.
20, something? I don't know. I was very young. And I went in and asked for it, and I left, and he gave it to me. And he said, "And don't tell the other girls in the office."
A good man, smart man. It's amazing because I never saw that real side of dad until I saw him in that instance with you. And that changed my
Interesting.
impression of him. Yeah. I think dad, his whole life, my memory, maybe not yours, because I know we've talked about this before as a family unit. My memory of dad was he was always right, and he always hated his boss.
Yes.
And he always quit or got fired because of arrogance or insubordination. And for that, I thank dad, because I don't think I ever had a boss in the 22 some odd jobs I had before I started my business where I really liked my boss. I think I went in there with a chip on my shoulder that this guy was not going to be any good. And they usually weren't. They fulfilled my expectation. I'm sure most of them were just fine. But I think without that as an example, I don't think I would have started my own business. I think I thought the worst thing in the world would be to work for somebody, even though I had to
Yeah.
work for so many people, but I mean, for a livelihood and your real job when you're grown up. And so I think he spun me toward entrepreneurship, and half the kids at least have businesses of their own. You think dad was a big influence on that?
It's interesting. Definitely for me. I mean, definitely that stuck, true to me. And I just think even having the confidence, that mom and dad each gave us. But as far as the other siblings, I thought I couldn't answer that. I was thinking about the question I couldn't answer. So I actually was talking to T this morning, and I asked him that question.
Your older
Yeah.
brother, my younger brother.
Yeah. And I asked T that question because there are six of us that, are in our own business, well, were, if you include John. And he said he thought it was, for him, it was just more independence and confidence. And he also thought that, being that, I mean, all of us, we have some brains, we're pretty smart. You know what I mean? I mean, he just thought that was his reasoning. He said he was a good employee no matter where he was, as was I.
Oh, he's
Yeah. Right. I mean, I was always a top employee no matter where I worked or what I did. I always outshone everyone, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know the rest of them. I did try to reach Ed, but it was too early in California. So
don't wake that
curious to
guy
see.
up. He's a bear when
Yes.
you wake him up. I found that, yeah. I think another piece of pushing a lot of us toward entrepreneurship was simply the confidence we each had, seeing mom, who was definitely a leader, natural born leader, and seeing our father, definitely a natural born leader. And I think when you see yourself as a leader, I always felt like a leader, as quiet as I was. I thought I was a leader. I could pretty much do anything I wanted, I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't lack confidence. So when we went out into the world, it wouldn't be intimidating to think you should be a boss or capable so early, But I think,
Yeah.
but I really, really think that's a big piece of it too, the confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
Is there
Absolutely. Confidence.
Is there anything that you learned from mom or dad? It sounds like a silly kind of a question, but I have to ask it. Specifically, that you went out of your way with your own children. Each of your kids are confident, well-rounded, just great kids. But is there anything specifically that you were setting out to do as a mom to make it part of your family specifically? I mean, obviously you're a great mom, but was there anything you very much front and center?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely. I can remember with mom setting traditions. You know what I mean? I mean, for me, it was a big, especially holidays. Our family was so big. Do you remember we started? It was Christmas Eve. We used to exchange gifts, and then as people got married, mom created the tradition like the Sunday before Christmas, so that everyone could be with their in-laws, and she wouldn't interfere with that because she wanted everyone together.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was it was chaos, but it was so much fun having everyone there, sit around the circle, exchange gifts. And I do the same thing, and I actually do what mom does. I pulled my Christmas a week or two before Christmas just so I can have everyone. And extended family. Yeah, we do all gifts and everything. And then on Christmas Day, they're on their own. And Christmas Day for us is going to the beach. It's not even Christmas, but just those traditions. And then the thing that I don't, and you're probably not like this because it's about mom, but is mom would get so stressed whenever we had parties that she would end up like blowing a casket. Do you remember
before
that?
Every party, before every
party,
every church.
right?
Any kind of pressure deadline, she would almost have a nervous breakdown the hour of the event. Yeah, which
I caught myself do. Do you do that?
I did as a younger woman, but I don't in the last 20 years. But yes, I never paralleled it with mom doing it. But yes, certainly I did. I ruined a number of events having a shit fit with all the people helping me set up because the pressure was too great. It was like show business. Yeah, and people weren't ready or they weren't perfect yet. Mom had that in her, right?
Yeah, so I started doing that at a young, married, early age. Whenever I had a party, I noticed I was doing that. And so within, a few years, I finally talked myself into, like, okay, you recognize this, stop it. There's no reason for it. And then
Mm.
the other thing I remember is her never asking, now maybe you were older, maybe I was too young, never like giving us chores to do to help her with this. She was always doing it on her own. I don't
Yes.
think dad was helping. We weren't helping. I wasn't helping. I mean, and then I changed that for my children too. I gave them lists. Okay, we're having a party. Here's your list of things to do. Here's your list of things to do. Here, to try to ease that stress of being ready on time.
Well, I asked her about that because we were never asked to help, except we had to do our chores on Saturday morning, sweep our room, make our beds. That's not a big, and we share dishes, dish duty at night. But no, she never asked for help. And I asked her why that was. It seemed absurd with 10 kids with so much to do. And she answered me that because she was raised, I think she had 6 siblings, didn't she? She
was the only girl.
She was the only girl. And she said, because she was raised and asked to do everything, to pitch in and do so much work. She said it wasn't our fault that we were one of 10 kids. She wanted to treat us as though we were only kids and make it easy for us at her great expense. Yeah, so she took over from her childhood, I guess. I think she's out of her mind. I would ask.
I do too.
If I had one kid, I could work the kid to death,
I know.
It wasn't just that she forgot to ask, it was her intention not to burden us with the choices she and dad made to have a big family.
I didn't know that.
Weird.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Okay.
Interesting.
What about what did you learn from dad that you took forward as a parent to your children? Anything that you didn't start singing your children to bed every night, which by the way, dad did that for all of us from the very beginning. Every night he was our personal singer. Yeah.
And then crushed. I thought we were special. We were the young ones.
No, you weren't. We all got the same songs. We all know the same songs. But when we had the boys' room, the girls' room, so when Uncle Alan gave us a recording machine, every other night we would just get dad's recordings instead of the real deal. So you could be in 2 places at once. Yes, that was pretty efficient. But what did you take from dad? Anything that you made a point of making part of how you raised your children?
Well, definitely, I think singing. Believe it or not, she and my kids try to hide the cards at Christmas. We have the 12 days of Christmas that we sing, and she laminated Christmas cards. So we would all sing. Dad was, dad loved his music, loved to sing. He was, loved to play guitar. So I think I don't consider myself musical, even though my children have definitely, picked up different instruments and whatnot. But I just think the singing, the joy of singing and music, I definitely is a dad thing. And believe it or not, Bill, my husband, has a lot of dad traits. He plays the guitar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he doesn't sing, but yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. But anyway, yeah, I just think the music side of dad.
Wow. Well, I think I couldn't imagine growing up in a household without music. It's like part of the air, part of breathing. There's always music in our house,
Always music.
There was a lot of fights and shouting and angst and all the rest of the stuff that comes with living, but still there was music in the house, or at least toward the end of the day,
Yeah.
When you decided to go into real estate business, you also had a very different path than I. Although you were the youngest, you started your business much older in life. I started my business when I was 23, when I didn't know any better and had nowhere to go but up. And in a real way, I think that's easier because you don't know what to be afraid of. But when you started your business, what age were you, Janine, when you started?
I was 43.
43. So you
no,
had
43 when I became a real estate agent, but I was almost just about turning 50 when I opened my own business.
Oh, I didn't realize you worked for someone that long.
Yep.
Oh boy. So now I want to ask you, what took you so long?
well, and I don't know. I just think, and I hear what you're saying as far as being older and harder to start a business, and I did it out of just necessity, not necessity, I guess, just fear of going through a divorce. And then I still had, I don't know if you realize, because at 43, Lauren was only 9. I think she was 16 when I started my own business, but it was just her and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been working all these odd jobs, being a mom all these years. And now here I am, I'm all, it's just me. So that was a catalyst that made me leave and go on my own. And for me, just like you just said, I can only go up. I can't go back. And it was just survival. It was just like, it's me and her, and I'm the one in charge now, just me, So I was like, okay, well then I'm not working for anyone anymore. I just kind of jumped into it and I didn't give it any thought. I didn't think it through. You actually gave me advice when I was thinking about it and said, I recommend you go in and be a manager in an office first. And I thought, oh, hell no, that's going to take way too long. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to jump in and figure it out as I go along. And that's what I did. I just jumped in and, never looked back, and scary, but.
But you know what I find impressive? Most single moms, knowing they had to support a younger daughter, avoid risk like that. So you went right to the bullseye of the greatest risk, starting from scratch, which would be most frightening, I think, and probably almost maybe even feel most irresponsible at the time. You didn't play it safe, but you must have on some level felt fairly sure you were going to make a go of it. I'm sure you didn't have reckless abandonment, like, let's see where it goes by this time next year. Were you focused and saying, I am going to be somebody, I'm going to make this thing happen? Was it that kind of determination and confidence, or not at all?
I think it's a little of both. I definitely think I had nothing to lose. That was really my mantra every day. I have nothing to lose. I'm not going back, and I'm going forward, and I have a child to take care of, and I'm going to make this work, and I can do this. And then going back to mom and dad, both of them growing up, I was like, you could do anything you want in the world. Just name it, put your heart to it, put your mind to it. You could do it. You know what I mean? And I carry that on to my kids growing up, the same thing. You could do it, you could do it, but I don't know if that's good or bad, but I just had confidence, going back to what she said. I just was like, there's no going back. There's just no going back. There was a point when I sat on my front steps and literally I said, okay, because I came out of a life, I had horses, with Lauren, and, I couldn't do that life. And so it was basically like, would you like to eat tonight, or should we keep the electric on? And that's how bottom it was. So for me, I was like, well, there's no place but going up. I mean, if I was on my own without Lauren, I could live in a shoebox. It wouldn't bother me. I'll survive. But now I had purpose because I had a child, one child left that I had to make sure that, she got raised and had a roof over her head and that kind of stuff. So it was just definitely survivor mode and just having confidence and not caring. I really didn't care. I just did it. I didn't have a clue what I was doing at all.
Well, that's interesting, the way you just described that, although I didn't have a child at all until I was 48, 46, I guess I was. That was kind of my attitude as well. Hey, nothing to lose. Could always get my waitress job back,
Yeah, that's what I thought too, yeah. I could always go back to what I was doing.
And were you a waitress?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a great thing to know you could be a great waitress and make good tips.
Yeah.
It's like living life with an insurance policy that you could always survive. I probably wouldn't really like it if I had to be a waitress, but sometimes I even fantasize like, oh, I wish I could be a waitress for just a few nights a week. And
it is the most joyous job ever.
I agree. I thought I was the only crazy person out there. But why do you think that is?
I know why. I think it's because every customer that comes to eat in a restaurant is happy, and they're coming to eat and have a good, enjoyable meal and a good time. So they're happy to begin with, and they see your face and you're happy. And it's just always a happy experience. It's just happy. They're having a night out, they're having food, and you get to serve them and just say, how's your day? And it's just I think it's just very happy. I try to get all my kids into serving when they went to college or whatnot. And, just say I think Lauren was the only one who didn't do it.
Well, she's the youngest. She's a baby. You don't expect your baby to have to work as hard as the rest.
No, that's true. That's true.
You know what else I think happens with waitressing, in a waitressing position like that? You learn an awful lot of job skills. You learn how to organize yourself. You counter your tables, your menu there, you're ordering, you have follow through. You learn personality to please people. And the greatest thing of all is you do a great job, you get a bigger tip. It's such a fair business. If you do a lousy job, you don't get a good tip, so it seems very fair. Yeah.
No, and the best part is working in a place where you have repeat customers. So you say, oh, here comes Joe and Mary. Let me grab Joe's iced tea and Mary's coffee, or, you know what I mean? And then they sit down and they get it, and they think you're the greatest. So yeah, it's a great job.
I plan to talk to you most about real estate, and now I find I'm using most of the time up already
Oh,
on
no.
personal. But here's the real estate question I have. When you named, mostly because I'm curious, I never asked you, when you named your business the Corcoran Connection, your marriage name at the time was Madden. Why not name it the Madden Connection? I like to think that I had something to do with that.
You absolutely did.
Yes, thank God. I didn't want to be
So
left.
actually, when I was divorcing 2009. A divorce ended 2011 in February. I opened my business in November 2011. So I had already changed my name.
Oh, I
And
didn't realize. Mhm.
yeah, so I had changed my name and just said, I'll go with Corcoran. Hey, it can't hurt. My sister's in the business. That's really what I thought. I was like, I'm using my own name, and I already have someone in the business, so it can only help. It can't hurt. That's for sure.
Did it
So
help,
yes, you
or
did.
did you, in which regard? It gave you more credibility in getting listings, or gave you a
Um,
conversation point, or what? How did it
I
help?
think a conversation point, generally my question usually to people is, do you watch, well, now I can say, do you watch television? Back then I think you were on, every news channel that there was as a real estate advisor, basically, right?
Mhm.
Way back then. And just ask the question, do you watch any television? Are you familiar with Barbara Corcoran? They're like, oh yeah, I love her. If they were like, no, I really don't watch anything, then if I didn't say a word,
Yeah.
yeah. So.
But you use that to parlay into credibility, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, especially starting out. Yeah, I just opened the business with no listings, no business at all, nothing, zero. Because when you leave a brokerage, they keep your listings. So it's hard to make that transition to move to
Yes.
another brokerage because you can't take your business with you, your business that's active at the time.
I
They
see.
keep it.
I see. Gee, at Corcoran Group, I always allowed people to take their business with them, but that's because nobody ever left. I think one left. I was
Oh,
so happy to
okay.
get rid of them. Take your listings, that was
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't even realize that. I've been in your shop and I met some pretty spectacular salespeople, people I would have hired, and I was extremely particular. What do you think is the number one trait for the people that you have that are very successful?
I think the number one for any successful agent is the hunger and wanting it. And that's something you can't teach. That's the hardest lesson for me. I realize, and Bill always says this to me, you want it more than they do. I was like, I do. Why can't they see it? You know what I mean? So having the hunger, being able to, and you say this a lot too, being able to bounce back from rejection. I get joy out of when they share a story and say to me, they hung up on me. They said no. They said this. I'm like, great. That's wonderful. Good. Keep going. I like to hear that. I'm like, I love when people say no. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, that drives me. People talk about me bad. People trash my name. Anything that anyone does negative to me, I love it. I just say, bring it on, baby. Bring it on. That's it. And I just do the opposite. I go sky high the other way.
Can you teach that to the agents that work for you when they're taking rejection? Can you teach that?
I mean, I think rejection, not all people, but over time, if they hear it enough, I always used to, even before I was in my own business, I had like, anytime someone would say something negative, I'd have above my head that said NEXT, next, that I just had that vision, next, I don't care, next. And I literally, my brain, I wouldn't hang on to the negativity at all. I'd let it go. I was like, I don't really care. There's a million more people out there that like me. Not everyone has to like you. I'm going to, cater to people that like my personality, other people don't. And it goes back to mom. And I don't know if she told you this, but I really believe this. When you're attacked or people say bad things about you, it's really jealousy. And she always says to me, it all comes down to jealousy. Everything's about jealousy. People don't like you because you're pretty. People don't this because of this. They're all just jealous. They're jealous.
It's interesting. I would say, and I never heard that from mom, and hearing you express it, I would agree with it to a degree. I mean, certainly with my competitors, the more powerful I became, the more they hated me. And I clearly saw that as sheer jealousy, whatever form it took. But how about with the people who work for you? If they decide they don't like you as a boss, they're not happy with the job or whatever. I don't ever think of that as jealousy. I just think of that as a miserable person that nobody can make happy.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think the first couple of times that I had agents, especially agents that I worked from the beginning and kind of carried them along and this and that, and I was like the mom, and I had so much invested into them. And then for one day to have them come in and just say, I'm leaving, like no conversation. I said, that that like threw a knife through the first, but you have to get through the first one, like firing someone, when you had
Yes.
fired your assistant for the first time, the next few times it wasn't that bad,
Yes.
so it's all experience. So, but the first one, now I probably, I just, people do what they're going to do. I don't, you know what I mean? I hope they all stay and they like me. I know that I do get agents that stay with me for a long time, so that's good. That's a good sign.
Oh, that's the backbone of your whole business. Those long-term runners, they build the
Yep.
business for you. One last question. What's your dream for your business? You've grown it from nothing to how many agents do you have now?
18.
Yeah. So
It's
what's
still small.
what? It's still
I said it's still small, but I opened another. I have 2 offices. I opened one in Mount Dora up by Denise, so I have a couple agents up there. Yeah. I don't know. I always hope that I would be able to get to the point where someone could step in and just run it, and I could, kind of back out of it. And, I looked at Kristen's 2 girls, Rachel, definitely no, even though she works part-time for me.
You're
Olivia
looking
has
over your grandchildren?
Oh, heck yeah, they're young. Today's real estate is this are young, and Olivia's on the camera. She's on, TikTok and all that. And she'll come in and she did interview questions with me on real estate. And I'm like, oh, maybe Olivia. And then she wants to know part of it. So I don't know. They're just definitely, working on an exit plan. It's just what that exit plan looks like in the future, whether I just keep in it or sell it or, but
My
I'm a good,
suggestion
I'm
would
good.
be sell it. It's easier than getting relatives inside.
Okay. I'll take your advice.
Somehow more assured because there's a closing on the front side.
Yeah.
And you put the
That's
cash
true.
in your account,
That's true. That's true. That's
Okay,
true.
well, the minute you're ready to sell that business, you give me a call. I think I want to get back into it. I never considered Florida, but what the heck? I give it a spin.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good.
great hanging out with you in an official sense. I hope we didn't bore our listeners with all of our walking down memory lane, but I'm so proud
I'm
of you,
sure.
my God, mostly because
Wow.
of you didn't have to do it. It's amazing. Yeah, my
Oh,
respect.
well, I'm proud of you. I watch you all the time. You're my number one. I'm your number one fan, though you
I know.
may not know it.
Okay, kiddo. Thank you.
All right.
I love you so
Bye.
much.
Love you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.